Good morning and welcome to the Acalytica Lounge. I am your host, Edzai Cornelius Robo. And today we are going to be talking about a topical thing that is taking over in the digital infrastructure space. And this is the phenomenon of digital public infrastructure. So today we're going to be looking at the causal chain of Rwanda's Irembo platform. That is their digital public infrastructure that they have set up in order to give citizens a better service delivery. So Rwanda has developed a platform called Irembo, that is IREMBO. So it's called the Irembo platform. It is something that is quite important in the development of Rwanda as a nation, and serves as a good learning point for other nations worldwide that want to adopt a comprehensive digital infrastructure. So Rwanda's platform called Irembo is a model on how DPI, that is digital public infrastructure, can transform service delivery, foster trust in government, and enable data-driven governance. By mapping its causal structure, we're going to use a directed acyclic graph, that is a DAG, that's more causal inference talk, thanks to Judea Pell and others who have worked on these kind of models where we try and surface causal links and causal chains in order to understand the problems better and be able to plan, more intuitively using data. So now we want to try and uncover to see how these policy actions that led to the production development of Irembo, and what are the far-reaching outcomes that are shaping both citizen experience and national development, because the two outcomes, that is citizen experience during service delivery and national development, are interlinked and cannot be divorced from one another. So basically, this episode, we are looking at the causal chain, like I said, and also just getting some insights and learnings that could be used by policymakers, donors, and other DPI architects around the world. So basically, when we look at the first causal link that we want to look at is to say, does government digitization policy, did the government digitization policy lead to the investment in Irembo? That is, does policy drive investment, right? Because you might find, everybody has got a wish list as to how they want to digitize their countries, how they want to digitize their cities. But then, if it's written policy and it's ingrained in everything that the government does, then does that increase the probability? Does that cause people to actually invest? Because having a policy and investing are two different things. So that's one thing that we saw, that there was a link between Rwanda, intentionally coming up with a digitization policy that was cross-cutting across government, across society, and them actually coming up with a system that brings that policy to life, literally. So the journey began with Rwanda's forward-thinking digitization policy. That is a pillar of its Vision 2050. So the country made an intentional decision to invest in DPI through the Irembo platform, catalyzing transformation across public administration. So basically, the causal insight that we see here is that political will and policy direction are indispensable as root causes of digital reform efforts. So for us to have these platforms, for us to have outcomes that result in successful projects, that is DPI and others, there has to be political will and a very clear policy direction. So that is something that we need to work on, right? For for the platform to work well, which is the consequence of political will and policy direction. So we need to work on those root causes. Then the second causal link that we surfaced when we're looking at Irembo platform in Rwanda was that the investment in Irembo drove the digital infrastructure deployment, right? So now with policy support, capital was directed towards deploying the essential digital infrastructure, including cloud systems, internet access, cybersecurity safeguards, everything that underpins the system. So that means that when there was an investment in terms of human resource, in terms of money and stuff like that, then the deployment was possible. So that means that once you've got the political will, you've got the policies in place, and you actually avail the investment, then the infrastructure can actually be deployed as well, right? So the causal insights that we came up with here is that DPI requires foundational infrastructure, not just user-facing software. So it's important to actually have a foundational approach to coming up with digital public infrastructure. So it's not a case of just owning one layer, which is the front end that faces the citizens, but you actually need to think from first principles, going up and coming up with the foundational infrastructure, right? Then the third thing was that infrastructure deployment, right, led to the availability of online public services. So without deployment, there's no availability of online services. Some of these causal links, they sound very obvious, they sound mundane, but you'll be shocked at how people want online services, but they don't want to deploy foundational infrastructure. They don't want to invest in it. There is no political will, and there is no policy to guide some of these things. So this is us taking a first principles approach and saying some of these things are the root causes that lead to this, lead to this, lead to this. So that's what we're talking about when I continuously mention causal link, right? So you find that with Irembo, they digitized over 100 government services, right? And they made them publicly available online. So that means that Irembo became a one-stop shop for government. That is from applying IDs to registering births. Government interaction is now virtual. And that means that you actually break the bottlenecks of physical bureaucracy, because now things that people would have had to travel to go to some physical location and fill in some paper forms, now they can just do from their phones and computers, which is something that brings convenience and efficiency in the system. So that's important. Then once the services were availed, that is the 100 different government services that have been availed, that led to the increased access to services, right? Because now they're available. So that implies that there's increased access. So digital availability translated to wider access, especially for rural and previously excluded populations. So, and the good part was that the technology was compatible with mobile and USSD functionality. So that means more people could have access, and regardless of socioeconomic class or status. So that is what is needed when you're coming up with a digital public infrastructure. So now the causal insight there is that availability is necessary, but not sufficient, right? Access must be equitable. So availability alone is not good enough. It's got to lead to wider access. So that means that whatever technology choices that you choose have to be inclusive and have to catch everybody, from the lowest common denominator to the highest common factor, literally. I mean, I'm talking mathematically here. Right. And then the next causal link that we want to look at is once there was increased access, then there was the efficiency element now, which is the reduced time and cost for citizens. Because once everybody has access, that means that now they can actually start benefiting from the efficiency gains, right? So reduced time and cost means that the money they could have used to travel to go to a physical shop and other things and buy food and all that, they can actually use it for other things. So there's a cost element, there's an investment element to it. And then the time, obviously, time is money, as they say. So now with that convenience, they can actually save time. So the platform Irembo has significantly reduced the friction of accessing public services. No more travel to offices, long queues, or paperwork. This led to time and cost savings at the citizen level. Yes, so that's important, that the unit of analysis that we're looking at here is the citizen. What benefits, what is the value proposition to the citizen? Then the next causal link that we want to look at is now that the time and cost have been reduced, did that lead to improved citizen satisfaction, right? Satisfaction. So that that is evident in the Irembo platform, that the efficiency gains fed into citizen satisfaction, and this marked a shift from frustration to empowerment. Citizens began to perceive the state as responsive and competent, which is something that is important in terms of national development. You know, it's for people to rally behind national initiatives and personal initiatives. They have to be satisfied, they have to feel empowered, they have to be positive about life, and have to feel that the government cares for them, is responsive and competent. And that is something that is as a consequence of all the causal chains that we've spoken about so far, because they've got their time back, they've got less costs, and don't have to endure long queues and travel to access, basic services. Then, if the citizens are satisfied, what does that lead to? So we are seeing that satisfaction leads to increased trust in government, right? Because trust is the currency, literally, right? So we see that over time, right? And this is a very long-term impact that we are looking at here. It's not some short-term output, but it's a long-term impact outcome. So here we're saying over time, consistent service delivery through Irembo has built public trust. Digital services become a symbol of government reliability and innovation. And the moment that the citizens are convinced that our government is reliable and it's innovative, it even sparks, the flame of innovation within them as well, to be able to explore and break boundaries, break new ground, literally. So the catalytic effect of a reliable and efficient and innovative government cannot be underrated. Then another causal link that we saw. Oh, sorry. By the way, before I move on, I just want to say, so the causal insight between satisfaction and trust is that trust is an emergent property of repeated positive citizen interactions. So that's quite important, that it doesn't have to be once off. It's got to be repeated consistently, so that citizen interactions with government platforms and government services mutates into trust over time, right? And that's quite important. Then So the increased access, okay, I'm going back to access, led to higher uptake of formal services as well. So that means that access didn't just mean convenience, it boosted participation in formal systems. So you're taking people out of informal to formal because now they can actually register their businesses, they can register their activities, and can contribute to tax and other formal activities that the nation state um, participates in. So more bets were registered, taxes paid, licenses, that is business. I mean, for example, like the Rwanda Development Board, I know that they deal with the business licenses and stuff like that. So they become more efficient if there's one source of truth in government, one-stop shop, and it's convenient for both sides of the aisle. There's the government regulator and the beneficiary, who is the citizen, the business owner, and stuff like that. So that means that overall it increases the uptake of formal services. So that informal to formal transition gains momentum as a good transition, right? Right. Then, if people do take up high formal services, then generally there's improved service delivery data, because now once you've got the data, because people are actually using your services, that means that you can actually plan, you can actually come up with better policies and stuff like that. So higher uptake leads to improved service delivery. So more transactions on the public platform, Irembo, means that government has unprecedented visibility into the service demand, user demographics, administrative bottlenecks, and stuff like that. So that's data. And then, so better data implies that we're going to have data-driven policy decisions based on empirical evidence, not postulates or hypotheses. So with the real-time feedback loop, that means that policy becomes evidence-based. So ministries can actually fine-tune their programs based on real data. That's improving relevance and targeting. So that's quite profound. That it all started with political will and policy, right? And these are some of the catalytic steps that you are needed in order to better serve the citizens, right? So now, so once you've got improved policies, that is as a consequence of the data, then you can have better governance outcomes. So when we say better governance outcomes, we're saying that this entire causal chain feeds into better governance at the end of the day. Services become more inclusive, efficient, and transparent. And those are the factors that show that this is a high functioning state. And it's something that every other government aspires to get to, right? To be a high functioning state. So basically, based on the Irembo case study that we just had a high level look at using the causal chains, some of the policy recommendations that we could look at, I'll give you 4. The first one is ensure that there's upstream alignment, meaning that policies must clearly articulate DPI, that is digital public infrastructure goals, and allocate funding for foundational infrastructure. So there has to be clear articulation of policies, the goals, and the allocation of funds, not just for Mickey Mouse stuff that's at the top layer, but foundational infrastructure. Then the second thing is that we have to prioritize equity. So platforms should be accessible via low-tech channels, e.g. USSD, to avoid deepening the digital divides. Because if we come up with a platform that can only be accessed by people who have expensive iPhones or something like that, then it means that we're excluding everybody with a feature phone. And that is something that is retrogressive and punches way below its potential. So it's important that low tech channels should also be included, and that is a function of equity, right? The equity prioritization. Then the third one is use data loops. So I know it's easy to collect data, but then being able to action things based on data is something else that needs to be improved generally across the world, not just in government, but even private sector, because data for collection for the sake of collection is useless, right? So governments need to leverage DPI data to improve service delivery. Because if there's no improvement, but there's data collection, then that means that it's a redundant data project. Then at the end of the day, the fourth one is build citizen trust, right? So focus on consistency and reliability in service provision, and then the citizens can actually trust that their government loves them, their government is there for them, and from there, from trust. I mean, once there's trust, then it means that that country is positioned to flourish, and even from an external position as well, there is policy consistency. There are not too many surprises. The volatility of service delivery and variability becomes less. There's less noise, and then there's consistency. So you know that if bins are collected on a Monday morning, you expect Monday morning a bin to be collected, and if there are any backlogs or any other things that are going to lead to a variance in that, then using data, you can proactively predict and remedy, So basically, Rwanda's Irembo provides a replicable blueprint for DPI-driven development. So the causal chain shows that digital transformation is not just a technical upgrade, but a governance strategy. Countries seeking similar reforms must invest in policy alignment, infrastructure, service design, and citizen engagement to realize the full benefits of DPI. So that's what I had for you today to say. Let us build systems that speak to our aspirations, but obviously the aspirations start with political will, with policy, policy clarity, and then obviously following on with actually investing in this foundational infrastructure, right? Not surface level stuff, but actually revamping the whole system, how we think, and ensuring that there is a pipeline for data to be useful for the citizen. And also the interoperability aspect of it is very important, because the innovators in the country, the citizens, should be able to plug in as well and utilize these digital rails that everybody should be able to get value out of it. So literally, this is so foundational. It's foundational as what OpenAI has done for AI. It's the same thing, the same kind of thinking from first principles that governments actually have to take and solve problems from the bottom up, and not vanilla stuff. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening to the Acalytica Lounge. I am Etzai Cornelius Robo, and hope to talk to you again in the next episode. Thank you very much.